We will be a little bit delayed waiting for our city attorney and our city clerk to finish up on a resolution.
So if you notice, I moved the chair back up like it normally is, so you wouldn't notice the difference.
All right. Let's call this meeting to order, please. Roll call.
Here. 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 Here.
I'm here. The invocation and pledge will be led by Councilmember Kurt Smith. If you'll please rise.
Let's pray. Father, we do thank you so much for blessing us. God, we're just so privileged to live in this great city. God, I thank you for this council and the time that they give to the business of running this city. God, as I look out in the crowd, I especially thank you, too, for first responders, fire, emergency services, police. God, just thank you for the way they serve us daily. And God, please protect them and everything that they do. And God, give us wisdom tonight as we consider the business that comes before us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Meeting, work session March 18, 2024, regular meeting March 18, 2024. Any corrections? Not to stand approved as written. Committee reports, Ms. Gaines.
No report, sir.
Mr. Connor.
No further reports, Mayor.
Chief Barber.
No report, Mayor.
Chief Few.
No report.
Shannon.
No report.
Casey. I like that. Thank y'all. Open up the floor for public participation. If you'd like to address this council, now is your opportunity. Please give us your name and address. The podium is open. Moving forward on our announcements, I want to say that we did start mosquito spraying today in our city. The mosquito vector, whatever their name is, what is it, Becky? Vector Disease Control Incorporated, is that right? Anyway, they started spraying today, so they'll spray every week, every mile in the city. So take this very seriously. Want to make sure that you are aware that they have started their spraying. Congressman Jared Curl has sent out a survey to the Spanish Fort residents asking for feedback on our postal service. Please check your email. Send something back to the congressman filling out the survey. The only way we're ever going to get one is to let them know how poor of a job they're doing, so please fill out that survey correctly. Don't put that they're doing a great job. So we do have hard copies here at City Hall if you do need them. Saturday, April 13th, the Spanish Fort Junior City Council will conduct a City Serve Day 2024 from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. The Junior Council will lead volunteers cleaning up the roadside along Jimmy Faulkner Drive. Participants should meet at 8 a.m. at the Spanish Fort High School gym parking lot and will be directed to sections of this cleanup activity. City will provide vests, disposable gloves, garbage bags, as well as bottled waters for volunteers. Sunday, April the 14th, the Mobile Pops will be performing here at the Spanish Fort Community Center, 6 p.m. Fame, fine arts, music, and entertainment will have an art guild show prior to the concert from 5 to 6. Saturday, April 27th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., the city will be hosting the 14th Annual Delta Woods and Water Expo Family Day. The expo will be held at Five Rivers Delta Resource Center on the Causeway. Lots of outdoor activities, including fly fishing, geocaching, demonstrations of turkey calling, archery, and many other activities. Admission is free. And the city would like to thank Mr. Wallace Gilberry for co-sponsoring the annual Easter egg hunt this past Saturday. Beautiful day for it. Great success. We had over 400 kids out there, and we had 10,000 eggs, and 10,000 eggs were gone in about 3 minutes. So it was wonderful. Once the kids, Wallace asked them, "Are y'all ready?" And before he could tell them ready, set, go, or anything, they took off. So it was no stopping them once they started. So it was a great event, and we thank Wallace, Beef O'Brady's, the city, several other sponsors that put that together. So it was a great event. There's no old business. On the new business, we have a proclamation for the month of April 2024 as Child Abuse Awareness Prevention Month in the city of Spanish Fort, and I believe we have Jessica Ware. You come front.
This is a proclamation by the mayor of the city of Spanish Fort for Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. Whereas child abuse and neglect is a serious problem which affects every segment of our community, and finding a solution depends upon the involvement of people throughout the community. And whereas our children are our most valuable resource and will shape the future of Spanish Fort, whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects resulting in lifelong consequences for victims, and whereas the effects of child abuse are felt by entire communities and must be addressed by the entire community, and whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the meaningful connection and partnerships created between child welfare, educational health, community and faith-based organizations, businesses, and law enforcement agencies. And whereas communities must promote programs and activities that benefit children and their families, and whereas we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and promote the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And whereas prevention remains the best defense for children and families, with youth-serving prevention programs offering positive alternatives for young people to develop strong ties to their community. Now, therefore, I, Michael M. McMillan, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Spanish Fort, do proclaim the month of April as Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month in Spanish Fort, Alabama, and call upon all citizens, community agencies, businesses, and religious organizations to increase their participation in our efforts to prevent child abuse, thereby strengthening our community. Given under my hand in the great seal of the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama, on this, the first day of April in the year of our Lord, 2024, Michael M. McMillan, Mayor.
That's all right. I can talk about it.
The law enforcement every day that helps us out. And we provided direct intervention services for 428 Baldwin County children last year, so we really appreciate everything that you guys do to help us help the kids. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We got a number of proclamations and things to do up here tonight, so I'm just going to stay down here. I brought my agenda with me. We have a proclamation proclaiming National Library Week here in this city. Is anybody here from the library? David, can you go ahead and read that also, though?
Yes, sir. Proclamation by the mayor of the city of Spanish Fort, National Library Week 2024. Whereas libraries offer the opportunity for everyone to connect with others, learn new skills, and pursue their passions, no matter where they are on life's journey. And whereas libraries have long served as trusted institutions striving to ensure equitable access to information and services for all members of the community. And whereas libraries adapt to the ever-changing needs of their communities, developing and expanding collections, programs, and services that are as diverse as the population they serve, and whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that promote a sense of local connection, advancing understanding, civic engagement, and shared community goals, and whereas libraries are treasured institutions that preserve our collective heritage and knowledge, safeguarding both physical and digital resources for present and future generations, and whereas libraries are an essential public good and fundamental institutions in democratic societies, working to improve society, protect the right to education and literacy, and promote the free exchange of information and ideas for all. And now, therefore, I, Michael M. McMillan, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Spanish Fort, do hereby proclaim the week of April 7, 2013, 2024, as National Library Week in the city of Spanish Fort. During this week, I encourage all residents to visit their library and celebrate the adventures and opportunities they unlock for us every day. Given under my hand and the great seal of the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama, on this, the first day of April in the year of our Lord, 2024, Michael M. McMillan, Mayor.
And it's an honor to have our library board chairman, president, whatever, chairman of the library board, Mr. Kurt Smith, who's taking the gavel over today. Would you like to say a few words, sir?
Sure. Thank you.
Very good. I like that. All right, the next item on the agenda is something I always enjoy doing, swearing in a police officer. Mr. William Kent, would you join us?
All right, Mr. Kent, if you'll put your hand on the Bible and swear after me. I, William C. Kent,
I, William C. Kent,
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of Alabama
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of Alabama
and the Constitution of the State of Alabama,
and the Constitution of the State of Alabama,
that I will faithfully enforce the laws of the State of Alabama
and I will faithfully enforce the laws of the State of Alabama
and the ordinances of the City of Spanish Fort, Alabama,
and the ordinance of the City of Spanish Fort, Alabama,
and perform the duties of a police officer
and perform the duties of a police officer
faithfully and honestly to the best of my ability.
faithfully and honestly to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Chief, you have anything you want to say? Yeah. Mr. Kent, welcome aboard. If you would, go up and introduce yourself to all the council members up there so they know who you are. Next item on the agenda is another thing I greatly enjoy. Chief, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Mayor. And I apologize, I have my back to the audience here, but what a great day for Spanish Fort and Spanish Fort Police Department. You're going to have a few different layers of us here today, some monumental times that we've hit here. First, let me say that this marks my week being here 4 years this week, and so I got here 4 years ago. You believed in my vision for this department. We have had nothing but great success after success the last 4 years, getting to where we are today. And today is another step forward in that progression. Today we're making 2 promotions. We're promoting a lieutenant, one of our senior leadership positions within the department, a corporal that you guys created for us 2 years ago that we've taken a couple of different cycles to get there, but we're now full-on corporals that entry-level supervisory position that helps us with the development of our leadership. And then we just sworn in a new police officer. And so you're seeing the future of this department. I've always talked about succession, that we're looking at the next police chief coming from within our department, but we're doing more than that now. We're looking at not just that next police chief, but the layer after that and after that. And perhaps today we just swore in the future police chief of the Spanish Fort Police Department. Everything that we do with an eye on the future and for development of our team. You've heard me say this, and we're very much have stuck to this. When we're short, which we are now finally full today, fully staffed, we will sit there and go through applicants waiting on the right one for our team. We have a process that we've instituted to ensure that we get the best candidates for our leadership positions. But let me say this, being a leader is not the brass that you put on your collars or the stripes that you put on your sleeves. Being a leader, you can do that at every step along the way. You have leaders that are behind me that are supporting the ones that are being promoted, that competed with the ones that are being promoted today to support them. And so as leaders, I look at you and I say that we exist to support those that work for us. You know, a leadership and the definition of a leader, there's so many different ones that are out there. But to me, in the simplest form of it, it's the ability to inspire others, individuals, to work together as a team in the furtherance of a common goal. And so as law enforcement officers in the city of Spanish Fort, we are here to exist to protect and serve our community by providing the most excellent service possible. And I think today we are getting two excellent promotees that will move into their new roles. I expect a lot from you. This is not the end of the process. This is the beginning of your starting off in that new role. You'll be pressed to do more. That's why we're here. If a department worked seamlessly, you would have a chief of police and nothing but line officers, right? So we have to have these different layers. It's necessary for the professionalism of our department, and I think today we are making a great step forward. And so with that, I'll bring them up one by one. So being promoted from sergeant to lieutenant, Stephen Mooney. Come over here, accept your badge.
I got to say something. Come on. I've been speaking to this man for a long time, and that's always been my opinion. He had great things coming to him, and we appreciate everything you've done for the city on behalf of the council, the citizens of the city. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then being promoted from officer to corporal, Jason Henson. So let's do it the right way. Thanks, sir. All right. There.
Congratulations. Once again, on behalf of the council, the city, all the citizens, thank you for what you do every day. Congratulations.
So just in closing, I do want to say thank you to the mayor and the council for allowing us to these promotions. We have done so much to grow our leadership team. And so I kind of look at it as that we have gone from where we were 4 years ago to a really good place, but that's not good enough. Okay, so we're not there. We're never going to be there. We're never going to arrive. We're going to press forward. And so the progress we made the last 4 years, plan on pressing this organization to really get to that excellence point. And so I expect to see a lot more the next 4 years. So thank you again for your support.
Thank you, Chief. And I guess after 4 years, you're no longer on probation. So he finally made the cut. So appreciate you. Any words from the council? All right, we're going to get in the agenda, so this is your opportunity. If you'd like to escape, is your chance to do it. But we encourage you to stay. like to present ordinance number 658, 2024, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1994-11 of the City of Spanish Fort to amend the levy of a privilege or license tax or persons, firms, corporations in the business of selling a retail tangible personal property in the City of Spanish Fort, Alabama, or within its police jurisdiction, providing for the collection of the said taxes and providing penalties for violation of said ordinances. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this ordinance, if passed, would repeal any privilege and license tax passed by ordinance number 1994, and it's as it applies to the police jurisdiction of the city only. Otherwise, the ordinance will remain in full force and effect. Like I say, if this is considered and passed at a subsequent meeting, it would repeal the police tax in the police jurisdiction only.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. I believe this item is going to be held over for the next agenda. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I believe that holds true actually for the next three afterwards. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, I will move to present ordinance number 659, 2024, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1995-30 of the City of Spanish Fort, providing for the levy and assessment of a tax on the leasing and renting of tangible personal property. Mr. Connor?
Ordinance number 659, 2024, if approved by the City Council, would repeal the levy of any leasing or renting tax on tangible personal property pursuant to ordinance number 1995-30 in the police jurisdiction only. Otherwise, it would remain in full force and effect, and it is recommended that this be held over to the next meeting as well.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council? As Mr. Connor mentioned, we will hold this over till the next meeting. I'd like to present ordinance number 660, 2024, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1992-2003 of the City of Spanish Fort, providing and levying a tax on cigarettes, tobacco products, and rolling papers. Mr. Connor.
Mayor, this ordinance number 660, 2024, if approved, would amend ordinance number 192-2003, providing for the levy of tax on cigarettes, tobacco products, and rolling papers. It would repeal the tax in the police jurisdiction only if approved by the City Council, and it is also recommended that this be held over to the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion on that item? As Mr. Connor mentioned, we will hold this item also. Moving to ordinance number 661, 2024, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1995-29 of the City of Spanish Fort, providing for the levy or use of an excise tax against persons, firms, or corporations which use or consume personal property in the City of Spanish Fort, Alabama, or within its police jurisdiction, and providing for the collection of such taxes. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, if ordinance number 661, 2024 is approved by the City Council, this would repeal or remove any levy of tax for excise tax and consumption tax in the personal property in the corporate limits, in the police jurisdiction of the City of Spanish Fort only. It will be in the police jurisdiction only that it would be removed, and likewise, it is recommended that this be held over to the next meeting as well.
Any discussion from the council? I will say at this point, the previous four ordinances, there is some pending legislation up in Montgomery. That's why it was a better, in our opinion, judgment to hold this over until we saw the outcome of that legislation in Montgomery. Any other discussion on that item? Hearing none, I'd like to present ordinance number 662, 2024, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5196 of the City of Spanish Fort. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, we have had an applicant that has applied to the Planning Commission for the construction of mini golf courses and go-kart tracks in the corporate limits of the city, and the Planning Commission has recommended certain standards be added to the zoning ordinance for parking requirements related to those uses. This ordinance would amend the zoning ordinance in section 7.6 and add the following uses and parking requirements. Section H for mini golf courses, 1 space for each hole plus 4 spaces per 18 holes plus 1 space per 2 employees. And then for go-karts, section I would be 1 space for each go-kart plus 4 spaces per 18 go-karts and 1 space for each 2 employees. The Planning Commission forwards a positive recommendation for this amendment to the zoning ordinance.
We'll have a public hearing on this item tonight. Any discussion from the council? I'll open up the public hearing. If you'd like to speak to this, please give us your name and address. Public hearing is now open. Public hearing is now closed. Any discussion from the council? Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve ordinance 662-2024.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
Yes, the ordinance is adopted. I'd like to present ordinance number 663, 2024, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5196 of the City of Spanish Fort, changing the zoning classification of certain property located on Battleship Parkway, Spanish Fort, Alabama, and bearing tax parcel number 5-30-08-27-000-007-000 from R1 to B3. Mr. Connor.
Mayor, this proposed ordinance would amend the property described in Exhibit A from R1 to B3, a local business district. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on this proposed request and forwards a recommendation that the property be rezoned to B2 local business district. The legal description is attached as Exhibit 1 and also attached as a map as Exhibit 2 showing the relationship of the property to the corporate limits of the city. The property is basically due south of Traders on the causeway and across the right-of-way on the south side of the causeway. The comments from the Planning Commission at the public hearing was that the applicant requested B3 zoning, but has requested a use that would not be allowed in B3 zoning as presently stated. And the other properties in the area that have been rezoned to B2 local business district. The Planning Commission and City Council have been adverse to creating any type of use that would allow for, in particular, fuel dispensing like you would see with potentially convenience stores and gas stations that would be allowed in B3. And in the flood damage prevention ordinance in particular limits fuel dispensing operations in flood zones and in that area. The property owner has requested the rezoning as part of a move to prepare for the construction of the Interstate 10 bridge and well as the improvements to the Bayway that are proposed. They are requesting at some point in time to be allowed to place a laydown yard or construction yard on that site. We have clearly stated, and I want the minutes to clearly reflect, that if this property is rezoned to B3 or to B2, they still would not be entitled to have a contractor's laydown yard or storage yard because that use is only allowed in M1, which is the industrial zoning classification under certain circumstances and conditions. The council has recognized, and the Planning Commission has as well, that at some point in time there may be some requirements or need for a laydown yard related to a project of that magnitude, and so it has been discussed that we would create a classification or temporary a use that would be allowed for that, but would be greatly restricted on time and location as to how and when that could be used. And just for the record, in the event that that temporary use is created, it would not necessarily be granted to this site. It would be determined based on the awarding of the bids, the contractor's means and methods, and the needs expressed by those people that are charged with the project, because not everybody that comes in is going to get a contract, and we also need to make sure that once this is done, that it's cleaned up so that this doesn't become an industrial park for the next 20 years. And so the City Council and Planning Commission are very sensitive to the nature, environmental nature and protections for the causeway, and while they do recognize that there may be some needs, are not convinced that this is the location and will likely wait to see as the project begins how and when it's necessary. But the property owner does have a right to request that the property be rezoned to a different district. He has requested that the property be rezoned to B3, which is a general business district classification. but does not have a particular use in place that are proposed. And so the Planning Commission, again, after the public hearing, forwarded a positive recommendation that the property be rezoned to B2, local business district, commensurate with the rezonings that have occurred in the area. In order to give you all as much flexibility as you could in hearing the application, the ordinance was drafted in such a way that gave notice that a B3 was being considered, but it would be your staff recommendation and your attorney's recommendation that after the public hearing, unless you hear something that gives you a different take or consideration, that instead of rezoning the property to B3, that you rezone the property to B2 if you're so inclined, in accordance with the recommendation from the Planning Commission, and would also state that that should be a two-step process. One, you would amend the ordinance as drafted to change the rezoning to a B2, and then also have a motion to either approve or deny once that is made. But that would be the staff recommendation, the attorney's recommendation. Again, you're going to have a public hearing. You may hear information that leads you differently, and this gives you the fuller range of opportunities to look at the site.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council? First order of business to open up a public hearing. If you'd like to speak to this item, please give us your name and address. Public hearing is now open. Public hearing is now closed. Any discussion from the council? I believe we heard Mr. Connor, the two steps that are needed to be done with this. One is to make a recommendation as to changing this this ordinance from R1 to B2 or 3, depending on what this council wants to do. And the secondly would be to approve or deny that request. So do I have a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion to amend ordinance number 663-2024 to read that it's being rezoned to B2 as opposed to B3.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, the ordinance is adopted.
No amended,
The
Mayor.
ordinance is amended. Do I have another motion to approve or deny this
Mayor,
ordinance?
Mayor, this would be a motion to either approve or deny the ordinance as amended to B2.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 663-2024 as amended to change it from R1 to B2.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, the ordinance is adopted. I'd like to present ordinance number 664, 2024, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5196 of the city of Spanish Fort, extending the rezoning of certain property located at 10284 U.S. Highway 31, Spanish Fort, Alabama, from R1 to B1. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this property is located at the corner of U.S. Highway 31 and Eastern Shore Boulevard in the city of Spanish Fort, just west of the Marathon gas station and south of Rockwell Elementary School. This property was rezoned on April 3, 2023 to B1. The zoning ordinance states that if the property is not devoted to the requested use as rezoned, that it reverts back to the previous zoning. The zoning ordinance also allows for the city council to extend the rezoning for an additional 12 months at the request of the applicant. They have made that request, and so if approved, this ordinance would extend the rezoning to B1 through April 3, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance 664, 2024.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner,
Recuse.
Mayor.
I'd like to introduce ordinance number 665, 2024, an ordinance exempting certain covered items from the municipal sales and use tax during the third weekend of July 2024 as authorized by the state back-to-school sales tax holiday legislation. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, Alabama Code Section 40-23-210 through 213 provides for the state back-to-school sales tax holiday. This, if a ordinance if approved, would exempt the city of Spanish Fort sales tax of 1.5% from certain covered items from the period of time beginning at 12:01 a.m. on Friday, July 19, 2024, and ending at 12 o'clock midnight on Sunday, July 21, 2024. This would not exempt or change the levies of the license fees by the districts at the Eastern Shore Center and the Spanish Fort Town Center.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council? This is the first reading and will be on your April 15th agenda. I'd like to present Resolution 1395, 2024, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Spanish Fort and Matthew Jones Engineering, LLC. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this resolution would authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Matthew Jones Engineering, LLC to effect design, bidding assistance, and construction administration related to the resurfacing of the Spanish Fort Community Center parking lot. A copy of the proposed agreement is attached as Exhibit 1, subject to any changes deemed necessary by the mayor. And Section 4.01F sets forth the fee schedule, including a $4,430 for evaluation, $11,425 for planning contract development, and then time and materials not to exceed $3,000 for bidding and $6,000 for contract administration and reimbursable expenses up to $1,000. Like I said, a copy of the proposed agreement is attached as Exhibit 1.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion? Do I have a motion to adopt?
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 1395, 2024.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
Excuse me. A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement with Sunset Contracting, Inc. for the repairs at Adler Avenue. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, attached to the resolution is a proposal from Sunset Contracting, Inc. In the amount of $12,725 to repair items related to 10369 Alder Avenue. This includes mobilization costs, removal of a certain asphalt area, and repaving to city standards. This total amount, again, is $12,725, and a copy of the agreement is attached, or proposal is attached to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 1396, 2024.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
I'd like to present Resolution 1397, 2024, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter in a memorandum of understanding on behalf of the Spanish Fort Fire Rescue Department. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is a proposed resolution that would authorize the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding between the City of Spanish Fort Fire Department, Loxley Volunteer Fire Department, Daphne Fire Department, and Silver Hill Fire Department for the purpose of providing an application and grant funding related to the purchase of equipment for the P25 Phase 2 radio program and equipment schedules. In particular, as part of the grant application, the City of Spanish Fort would receive 44 portable radios. The proposed total cost of those 44 radios would be approximately $291,500, with a federal share of $265,000 and a department match of $26,500. We have proposed some proposed changes or amendments to those agreements, and it's my understanding that you're going to hold this over to allow for further discussion with those departments.
Yes, sir. Discussion from the council? As Mr. Connor mentioned, there's some issues we have with this resolution, which we will visit over the phone this week. We'll hold this over to your April 15th agenda. Moving to Resolution 1398, 2024, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Spanish Fort, Baldwin County Emergency Communications District, doing business as Baldwin County 911. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, presently, the City of Spanish Fort does its own E911 addressing and GIS work related to new businesses and in particular subdivisions that are approved by the City of Spanish Fort. And also that work is done in conjunction with Baldwin County 911. They have requested to bring that service in-house at their location and to utilize uniform equipment and addressing system that they have purchased, as well as the hiring of an additional employee to deal with that service. And they have requested that the municipalities in Baldwin County contribute toward the cost of that equipment and employee in accordance with the attached agreement based on the population of each cities. In particular, for Spanish Fort, the amount paid would be $8,731, and that is set forth in Section 9 of the agreement. And so that agreement is attached to Exhibit 1, subject to any changes deemed necessary by the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion we approve Resolution 1398, 2024.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
$13.99, 2024, a resolution rejecting bids for the construction of the new Central Fire Station Number 1 in the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, the city received bids on March 14, 2024 for the construction of the proposed new Central Fire Station Number 1, project number 23-001. On information and belief and based on the information provided by the bid package review and the architects and others reviewing the package, it was determined that the lowest bid exceeded the estimated budget for the construction of the building by approximately $2 million. It is my understanding that it is the mayor's recommendation to the city council that all bids be rejected and that additional design work be done and the project be rebid at some point in time in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council? As Mr. Connor mentioned, we were shocked a little bit with the price tag. Felt it was in the best interest of all parties, including the citizens of the city, that we get the best bang for our buck. So we're going to look at rebidding this, but we need to reject this bid initially to bring that into the fold. Any further discussion on this item? Do I have a motion to adopt?
Make a motion to adopt 1399-2024.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
Yes, resolution is adopted. I'd like to introduce Resolution 1400, 2024, a resolution appointing a voting delegate for the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama to serve as the city's voting delegate at the Alabama League of Municipalities 2024 Annual Convention. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, the Alabama League of Municipalities holds an annual convention each year to allow representatives from the municipalities to come together for conferences, education, and to exchange information regarding that affects municipalities and local governments. This year's annual League of Municipalities 24 convention is being held in Huntsville, Alabama from May 15 through 18, 2024, and this resolution would appoint Councilmember Mary Brabner to vote on behalf of the city of Spanish Fort on any matters requiring votes at the convention.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council? Do I have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt Resolution 1400, 2024.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
Yes, the resolution is approved. I'd like to introduce Resolution 1401, 2024, A resolution authorizing the mayor and the police chief of the city of Spanish Fort to make applications for the Homeland Security Grant Program. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is a proposed resolution that would authorize the mayor and the chief of police to make a Homeland Security Grant Program application through the Domestic Violence, Extremism, and Homeland Security Grant Program 2024 and Law Enforcement Homeland Security Operations programs for funding related to the purchasing of equipment for the Special Response Team and training simulation for the Spanish Fort Police Department. In particular, the items of equipment that will be requested for purchase related to the response team would include night vision, thermal vision, and robot equipment necessary to equip and adequately provide for that special response team. And then the training equipment would be a Veritra, virtual interactive coursework and training equipment that would give a simulation as well as additional training for the police department as well as other local agencies in Baldwin County to assist in real-life scenarios and allow for training on those areas.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council. There is a deadline on this item of April 15th, so I would ask that the council consider suspension of the rules. Do I have that motion?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Kurt Smith?
Yes.
Gustafson?
Yes.
Perry? J.R. Smith?
Yes.
Brabner? Mayor?
Yes, to have motion to adopt.
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 1401-2024. Hang on, that might have, yeah.
That's right.
1401.
Second.
There's a lot on the agenda tonight. It's just, that's the biggest agenda we've had in quite a while. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Kurt Smith?
Yes.
Gustafson?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
J.R. Smith?
Yes.
Brabner? Mayor?
Yes, the resolution is adopted. I'd like to introduce Resolution 1402, 2024, a resolution authorizing the mayor and the fire chief of the city of Spanish Fort to make applications for staffing and adequate fire and emergency response safer grant from the Department of Homeland Security. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this would be an application by the mayor and/or fire chief on behalf of the City of Spanish Fort Fire Department for the purpose of acquiring or applying for the Safer Grant Program for the purpose of receiving funding for additional 12 fire personnel for the next 3 years. JMCM Consulting LLC is the consultant that will assist with the filing of the application in accordance with an agreement previously approved by the City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council. Here again, this is a deadline of April the 12th, so I'd ask your consideration. Discussion. Roll call.
Kurt Smith?
Yes.
Mayor, well, just one thing. Chief Few, sorry, Mayor, is this through the Department of Homeland Security? It is? Okay, I just want to make sure we had the right department there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Kurt Smith?
Yes.
Gustafson?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
J.R. Smith?
Yes.
Brabner? Mayor?
Yes, to have a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt Resolution 1402-2024.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith?
Yes.
Gustafson?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
J.R. Smith?
Yes.
Brabner? Mayor?
Yes, the resolution is adopted. We have two new items, two new resolutions added to the agenda tonight. Resolution 1403, 2024. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, Resolution Number 1403, 2024 is a resolution opposing the passage by the Alabama Legislature of House Bill 268 and any other similar legislation. And with your permission, I'll read that resolution, Mayor.
Please
Okay.
do.
Whereas HB 268 has been introduced into the Alabama House of Representatives during the 2024 regular session currently convened, and whereas HB 268 is designed to amend the Constitution of Alabama of 1901 to create the White House Fork Landmark District, And whereas the proposed legislation is a constitutional amendment that places in our state's foundational governing document a further restriction on local authority for municipal and county governments, and whereas this proposal would impact municipal and county governments in Baldwin County, and whereas negatively impacting and altering current practice by placing the proposed restrictions in the Alabama Constitution is both overreaching and unwise and would potentially affect the growth of local municipalities and unnecessarily restrict the power of the Alabama legislature related to municipalities in the area. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Spanish Fort, Alabama as follows. For the reasons set forth above, the City Council submits that the Alabama legislature in its official statement of opposition to the passage of HB 268 and any other similar legislation as an unnecessary restriction on the authority of the legislature and local governments in Baldwin County, Alabama. That the City Council of Spanish Fort, Alabama formally request its legislative delegation to ardently oppose any legislation attempting to effect such amendment and to vote against such legislation. This resolution shall become effective upon its adoption. This is important, Mayor, as we've discussed earlier, in that the proposed landmark district basically abuts the entire northern line of the corporate limits of the city, and under the circumstances could unnecessarily affect future growth of the city of Spanish Fort without really any benefit to those people in that area. The legislature of Alabama has the power to annex property and deal with municipalities. That's preserved by the Constitution, and the legislature has been pretty straightforward on how and under what circumstances they annex, and those areas have not been annexed against anybody's will. All the areas that Spanish Fort has annexed in those areas has been done by landowner consent through international paper at that point in time, and so we just think that it's unnecessary. And the legislature should reserve its rights to deal not only with the city of Spanish Fort, but with Bay Minette and any other municipality in those areas.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council? I think it's pretty important that we do take a stand on this. These landmark districts have gotten sort of out of control in our county, to be honest with you, in some cases. It's not that Spanish Fort is up for a land grab. That's not what this is about. It's about protecting rights and futures. So I ask the council to move forward with this. Any further discussion? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 1403-2024.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. Also added to the agenda is Resolution 1404, 2024. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is a proposed resolution opposing the passage by the Alabama legislature of House Bill 306 and any other similar legislation, and states that whereas HB 306 has been introduced into the Alabama House of Representatives during the 2024 regular session currently convened, and whereas HB 306 is designed to amend the Constitution of Alabama of 1901 to create the Stapleton Landmark District, and whereas the proposed legislation is a constitutional amendment that places in our state's foundational governing document a further restriction on local authority for municipal and county governments, and whereas this proposal would impact municipal and county governments in Baldwin County, and whereas negatively impacting and altering current practice by placing the proposed restrictions in the Alabama Constitution is both overreaching and unwise and would potentially affect the growth of local municipalities and unnecessarily restrict the power of the Alabama legislature related to the municipalities in the area. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Spanish Fort, Alabama as follows. For the reasons set forth above, the City Council submits to the Alabama legislature in its official statement of opposition to the passage of HB 306 and any other similar legislation as an unnecessary restriction on the authority of the legislature and local governments in Baldwin County. That the City Council of the Spanish Fort, Alabama formally request its legislative delegation to ardently oppose any legislation attempting to effect such amendment and to vote against any such legislation, that this resolution shall become effective upon its adoption. Again, for the reasons stated earlier, this local landmark district touches our entire western border eastern border on the east line in that area. And we just think, not only does it potentially affect the city of Spanish Fort, it affects Bay Minette, it affects Loxley. And while the city of Spanish Fort has only annexed at this point in time properties where their owners have requested to be annexed in, we believe that this unnecessarily ties the hands of the legislature. That area has not been annexed at this point in time. The Constitution's been in place since 1901, and we think that it's just an unnecessary potential restriction that could potentially create an island in that area as well, much like we talked about earlier.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council? Very similar to the last resolution we passed. I think the same reason as Mr. Connor has mentioned, that we should move forward. So do I have a motion on Resolution 1404, 2024?
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 1404, 2024.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. Becky, if you would, tomorrow morning, let's get this on our legal paper, whatever you call that. Let's get it to Cliff McCollum and to send copies to the mayor of Loxley and the mayor of Bay Minette, please. Any other business come before the council tonight? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.